Welcome back to Backroom Convos. I'm your host at the most, Lesego M, ready for 18 shit shot, and maybe you might get a chance to call me Daddy like Kylo. Listen, if you're a fan of pods, stay tuned because you might like what we are cooking. So the song of today is by Musaki featuring Kabza, or Kabza featuring Musaki rather. So the song of the day is Kusela. So I don't really have the numbers now, but I'll make sure to share the numbers with you in the comment section. So how are you in the spiritual form? Thursday, Friday? Yeah, lost count of days on a beautiful Friday morning, right? So today we are going to talk about the theme, and I'd like to, like I said on the last episode that we had, we were having challenges with regards to the sound quality, and I did speak about us changing like hosting platforms. I think I did touch on that. So I think now we are facing challenges as far as like the platform that we were trying out. The platform that we are trying out as far as hosting, the website, and it's giving us problems, So now we decided to take everything back to Spotify for Spotify to handle, Spotify for podcasters to handle everything for us. So, but the challenge that I'm currently facing now is that those people now, I'm so sorry for that. So those people, Acast is the name of the platform. I'll just put it out there. So Acast now is giving me excuses as to like why that is not happening, and I realized when I was like, okay, they were giving me options as to like, this is where you can take your podcast, this is where, and Spotify for podcasters was not a part of the list. So like now you can imagine, I don't know what the problem is because it's a technical error. So I just know the Spotify is hosting us, yes, but the episodes are not appearing using the link or whatever, the RSS feed link that that there's something called an RSS feed link where you take that link, it takes you to a platform where you need to look at the podcast, or you use the same link to import your podcast from A to B, maybe platform Spotify to Acast to whatever platform that you'd like to listen to whatever platform you listen to your podcast from. So that link is not working. So now there's a disconnect between the audience or the listeners of the podcast with us, because we, on our end, we still release those episodes, but they're not reaching where they're supposed to reach. They're not reaching those DSPs, So like now I'm like, okay, like what do we do now? Do we wait for the week, for 2 weeks? Like what do we do in between? Do we wait and assess the situation? And given that also there's no clear communication, and I'm like between like either maybe I'm the one who doesn't know how to explain this to anyone, but there's no communication between, like there's no clear communication as to what the problem is. I don't know what to do, so I'm just giving it time. Hopefully when you remember I said that with the last episode, whenever that last episode comes out, hopefully when it is, the problem will be fixed. But still, it's not fixed. I got an email, I got an email for sure yesterday that said you could see like the RSS feed link for our podcast is not working, so they can't take data, or because usually some of the platforms, they take data and they tell you it's all like, in the world this is where your podcast is, in the world this is how you're ranking. So there's something that you're doing good, because now you're ranking 15 spaces up, maybe from 25 to 20, maybe like a huge number of people were listening from this hour, so you need to like look into that as well. So those analytics I can't get because of that, so it's frustrating to know what we are recording the podcast, or I'm recording the podcast, and it's not reaching where it's supposed to reach, or reaching the audience that it's meant for, the people that it's meant for, So I'm even thinking of like the idea of rebranding, releasing or making a new podcast and having a huge audience, and say, okay, like now we are releasing this for this audience, or you understand, or we are doing this because now we do have the analytics. Don't get it twisted. We still have the old analytics. We can use that to use the database to reposition ourselves into this rebranded, podcast. So I'm thinking if it gets to a push next week, we'll just take the other episodes that we not released, take them to host another new podcast. So everybody that wants to listen to old episodes, they'll just go back to the old the old podcast, which is Backroom Convo. They'll just have to go through that, So now I'm okay, what's the name? Maybe we need to talk about names of the new podcast. Do you still like the name? There's just a lot in question. And I'm very much aware of the audio quality of the podcast, and I'm trying so hard to